Really, like I said, don't nothing else need to be said. When you grow in culture, when you grow in yourself, the best way to do is just expand on what you already do and what you already like are and know how to do, and expand in that way. Because now when you expand that way, you can tap into things that that can sustain you for a longer period of time and sustain your natural nature and your natural flow and your natural characteristics of yourself. And that's the whole idea, is to naturally grow yourself. So that will put you in a better position to be able to do that, right? And that's the important thing. The more authentic you can be growing yourself is the better, chance you'll have in order to I'll say be sustainably successful and make the right calls, and just be yourself, period, right? That authenticity and just being yourself is not even as valued, it's something that is, people say that's what they want, but really they really they're demons, what I'm saying? Really, they're demons, what I'm saying? And they want to try to crush folks for being authentic, what I'm saying? And being in their own authenticity. So a lot of things is contradictory, what I'm saying, in terms of what people say they want, what I'm saying, and then how they act when they start to receive it coming along, right? What I'm saying? And that shit is just due to demons, what I'm saying, entering people, and folks are just sort of letting their impulse get the better of them in terms of what they say and how they perceive folks. Because if you perceive or see folks in a, what I'm saying, your mind, you can think certain things and know certain things to be true and know it to be true, but because of the specific timing, because of the timing and the location of just where you at and how things line up, what I'm saying, you choose to react off impulse and let impulsive thoughts, sort of control you, in a sense to where now all of a sudden all levels of consciousness kind of go out the window, and you don't perceive those things to be true anymore. And that's the scary thing about what's happening nowadays, because now you can see the devil is working double overtime, triple overtime, quadruple overtime to make sure folks is kept down and that authenticity doesn't flourish and grow. And that's just a prime example of that right there. Is just how bad folks react to impulse nowadays. It's what I'm saying, it wasn't even a thing back in, what I'm saying, back in the day, how bad folks, react impulsively to the thoughts, knowing what is to be true. So, with that being said, in that regard, I think it's just a matter of folks, trying or being able to hold their conscience, hold on to their conscious mind, in the presence of all other types of things, and just know and understand, knowing and understanding, the truth, and knowing and understanding just all the things that, are that, conscience, holding on your conscience and everything to be true. And just knowing a lot of these things and not being caught back up into influence, because it's this is the day and time where this is really the day and age and the day and time where it's really just a battle between what consciously and just the status quo of just what's been presented to you over and over again, religion and shit, what I'm saying, and that sort of thing, which has been debunked a bunch of times, and other things like that, right? And just individuality, what I'm saying, do shit on your own. You got to do this shit what do they call it, a man, because a man is supposed to do everything on his own, right? And in my opinion, I don't even consider that to be a man. What I'm saying? My honest opinion, I don't think a man is someone who can just do shit and just do everything on his fucking own. I don't perceive that to be a man at all. What I'm saying? I perceive that to be, because men band, I don't perceive that to be a man. Period. You know what I'm saying? Someone who just does everything on their own, and he just doesn't have any sort of help and just does shit on his own. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think men should be in functionality with other men and just with the system. And you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's what makes, a human being, right? Is the functionality, being able to function. But you know what I'm saying? We get so caught up in this mindset of man, which I don't even know where the fuck it came from, to where like a man just does everything on his own. I don't even know where that shit fucking came from. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where the fuck that philosophy came from and why it's so powerful now. When, you know what I'm saying, we know that literally it's about functionality and you being able to function within the system. You know what I'm saying? And that's point blank period. That's what it is, right? You know what I'm saying? You don't become no basketball player as an alpha. No, you become a basketball player as a teammate and play into a role. Same thing as a football player. Same thing to anything else, right? You know what I'm saying? You play to your role, and that's how it is. I don't know where the fuck that philosophy came from. You know what I'm saying? And why the world, is just somehow going backwards on that. And then, that's just an example, right? You know what I'm saying? And then same thing with just like, point blank period, just, psychological warfare. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't get how folks can just come up and be so damn judgmental of other folks. You know what I'm saying? And how motherfuckers is appearing, knowing fuck well that, psychological warfare is a motherfucker and being institutionalized is so real and so real. It's probably the realest thing present, point blank period. I've never seen anything more real than being institutionalized people, right? That's the realest thing I've ever seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? And it's probably the most one of the most like inverted world shit. One of the most like literally warped world warping things I've ever is psychological warfare, or being institutionalized. That's one of the most world warping things. Point blank period. The most world warping thing. Point blank period. Is how somebody can be institutionalized. You know what I'm saying? Point blank period. Because and that's the realest thing I've ever seen in my experience in life. You know what I'm saying? Is that, and then but all of a sudden, like now, that's not even a thing no more. You know what I'm saying? It's just folks, nothing is really on, like at this point. Like really, like nothing is really on folks, man. It's just on folks' experiences, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like your ability to get up is all due to your ability to, get the resources you need, you know what I'm saying, in order to get a point blank period, you know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. But folks nowadays is so, I don't even know. It's just an impulse thing. Folks react off the impulse rather than, what they actually know. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how it is. Folks are so I don't even know, it's like religious and shit, but that's just what it is. that's just what it is. For some reason it's just, I don't know, shit is just all out of alignment. Shit just don't make sense. This shit is beyond me. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting to question even that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this life should line up in so many ways to make you question everything, man. Everything is all about like just one, it's all about individuality and shit, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? But hey, fuck it, right? You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with everything, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. At one point, it used to be about doing good for like trying to stop the violence, trying to be at peace and stop being at war. But nowadays, it's not even about that no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's about how
You know what I'm saying? It's about how you can point out how, one person one person or another person is this or that, or calling, what I'm saying, certain people out who you don't even know, you know what I'm saying? Don't even know their experiences, but just calling folks out uh, based on, what's it called? Primal, underdeveloped or undeveloped, consciousness. So, fighting against conscious, in the midst of conscious systems, overly conscious, hyper conscious, super sophisticated, overly super sophisticated divine conscience, using primal conscience to try to, make decisions based off of, make decisions, as a means of your decision making and guide, you know what I'm saying, and decision making and conceptualization, which just doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? You can't use primal consciousness against overly advanced super systems, super forms of consciousness, like point blank period. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how you get into a situation where you saying one thing about you might be saying one thing about yourself, like, damn, I'm not doing enough. Maybe I should be doing more. But your primal instinct, your primal consciousness is telling you not doing enough. But at the same time, in reality, there's an overly sophisticated, systematic consciousness that's really just lined up against you, that's doing things to you that you don't understand or haven't come to the knowledge of. So therefore, if you don't understand what those things are, you'll never be able to defeat that overly sophisticated conscious, you know what I'm saying, period. You know what I'm saying? Especially with that primal conscious. So it's really just a matter of, tapping into a more sophisticated level of consciousness and just maintaining it, instead of trying to use a primal level of consciousness to try and dictate behavior and trying to dictate, you know what I'm saying, certain folks and pass judgment on certain folks, or dictate behavior of, or course of action using using a primal conscience. Because a primal conscience will take a King James Version Bible book and read it, and all of a sudden this becomes the truth of everything. But if you have you know what I'm saying, if you come with a conscience of the same, with the same level of consciousness as the oppressor, or a consciousness higher, you can look at that book and say, this book has, King James written on the cover of it. So, how can I then use something like that, as a means of ultimate pacifying judgment? You literally can't. So, I think personally, it would make more sense, you know what I'm saying, I think it would be to use, history itself and slavery and what's written in, you know what I'm saying, in history, as a means of guidance, and I always go back to say it would just make more conscious sense. Even me, I have to continue to do this myself because I've been completely off that. I've been lost. You know what I'm saying? I've been off this shit too. You know what I'm saying? But it's using history as a means of that sort of understanding. But once you get too far off of that, we have a problem. And I think that's like a real Bible, But anyway, yeah, from a conscious standpoint, like I said, we have all these different things, like I said, you know what I'm saying, that that go on, and it's just like, I don't even know. It's just like, we know consciousness, like we know what it is. But at the same time, it's just like in the midst of it, it's so easy to get caught up on impulse and just, fucking just get tossed in the wind and just like think and do whatever, You know what I'm saying? Just based on the corner of just like presence and like what you feel based off of like what demons were trying to come in and try to make shit something else, right? And we know what it is. Like we know what a demon is, what a demon do. We know what demon psychology is. We know what demon philosophy is. It's this whole it's not American. It's this whole fucking fake ass colonized system. You know what I'm saying? We know that that's what that's what that is, right? You know what I'm saying? And everything attached to it is that. We know that. So it's like, you know, when someone else gets you know, strapped with the ultimate demon of just you know, of just system of just this system, it's just like, you know what can you do? We just gonna, you know what I'm saying, you gonna, you know, what happens to all that truth that we just seen, or what's happened to all that truth that we know, and all that truth that we've come to the understanding of in the midst of that, right? Is that still hold valid? Does that still stand, or does that just become something else, right? And you know, that's what's important to understand. Like, you know what I'm saying? Is Project Bluebeam still a real thing? Is that still a real thing? Is psychological warfare still a real thing? Is Tuskegee experiment still a real thing? Does we still know that government, you know, manipulation is still a thing? And do we still know that psychological warfare is still a thing? And do we still know that plants are giving off all types of weird ass, you know, chemicals and shit, you know, to purposely control human bodies and shit? And do we know that, you know, is it still real that drugs is a real thing, and the shit that they're putting in the foods nowadays is causing all types of hormonal problems and behaviors within folks' minds and within folks' bodies? Does that still stand, or is that shit not even a real thing? Because really, at the end of the day, life ain't even about like anything that goes on anymore. It's really just about your understanding of what's really happening on the surface, beyond the surface level. And all this other shit like that's going on with life, like housing and, you know what I'm saying, trying to live and trying to find a place, that shit don't even mean nothing. That shit ain't even important, you know what I'm saying, in terms of like what life is right now, what it really is right now. It's really just, what is your understanding of all the things going on in terms of your understanding of psychology, your understanding of global warming, your understanding of the effects of ecosystems and how, you know, how the United States and Europe and, you know, colonization and all this shit and just the the shit that people do, and how it affects ecosystems in terms of like, you know, global warming and, you know, that sort of thing. Ecology, understanding ecology, right? You know what I'm saying? And just the more you understand these sorts of things and the more you become sophisticatedly conscious of these sorts of things, then it will make more understanding, more sense on, you know, human behavior, point blank period. And if you're not on that type of time, listen, man, you are not living. You are not really, you know what I'm saying? You are not really there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You are not really, you're not really living. Point blank period. You're not really there. So here. So that's my 2 cents on all that. And I'm going to conclude this conscious podcast right here. That's all I have to say on that note. And like I said, that is the most important thing nowadays, man. It's like, it ain't even about like culture or none of that shit no more. Culture now is science. You know, science is culture nowadays, man. Like literally, that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's culture, and now it's science, right? We know, you know what I'm saying, ain't nobody really going nowhere, ain't nobody moving nowhere because the housing is just getting worse and worse. And this dude Trump coming in here and he doing all this shit, like ain't nobody going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? How this shit going? And you know what I'm saying? And really, nobody should be even focused on. I mean, I can't say for other people's circumstances, but it's just like, you know what I'm saying? It's obvious what it is important. You know what I'm saying? It's obvious what is important, right? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, science is the most important thing, and just trying to fucking understand shit, to a point to where you can understand and fix like more things, like nutrition and all that stuff is what it is, right? That's the only thing it is. You know what I'm saying? Some gonna make it, some ain't gonna make it, just due to fucking circumstance. Point blank, period. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing good come from getting fucking systematically, experimented on, or government, being a government experiment and just being experimented on for the government or by the system. There ain't nothing good come from being exploited by the system. You know what I'm saying? Because when shit regulate and you get back in proper health standing, and everybody gets back in proper health standing, who's gonna be the only ones really fucked up? You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be everybody who's been psychologically experimented on by the system. You know what I'm saying? Who's been brain damaged, by the system. Because you can't come back from brain damage. I don't really believe in this whole thing of God no more, man. Because I do, but I really don't. Because it's like, how can you pray to God when you're brain damaged? You know what I'm saying? How can a brain damaged person pray to God? They can't. They toast. They fucked. They screwed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know, like this primal consciousness is just, it's really just not it's not a thing, man, in my opinion. That's my 2 cents on that, right? It's like, science is the most important thing, and understanding that is important. Some folks is more gonna make it, some folks ain't gonna make it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because some folks have just been too fucked up by the system, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, no, nothing good comes from being a psychological lab dog, man, and getting fucked by the system. You know what I'm saying? Don't nothing good come from that, because, what can you do? You know what I'm saying? When you that psychologically institutionalized, you know what I'm saying? How much of these toughest men is getting, snatched up and put in the worst situations and fucked up by, the system, the psychological damage it do to you. You know what I'm saying? The psychological damage it do is just too much, and it's the most deadly thing ever. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like the most people with the biggest, levels of influence, is some of the most, can be some of the folks who are heavily damaged by the system. You know what I'm saying? It's like, almost like, we put these people on, these people are put, in camera light, you know what I'm saying, are forced into camera light, and it's like, these people lack psychological esteem of themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's not even their fault, just due to how institutionalized folks are, and it's so, and it's so easy and so quick to put institutionalized people on camera. I don't even know why that is. You know what I'm saying? I think more than anything else is institutionalized people get gaslighted, or put in, black and institutionalized people get gaslighted or put in camera more than anything else, right? It's always black. When it's black, it's always institutionalized behind it. It's never someone who hasn't been institutionalized, like, you know what I'm saying? And folks who haven't been institutionalized, you know what I'm saying, that get really put at the highest order. And, you know what I'm saying, a lot of it is due to certain things, but it's like, when you're institutionalized, I don't even know, there's a certain humility too that you know what I'm saying, that comes with being institutionalized. I don't know. And it's just like, it's hard to explain, like the influence that comes with being around harsh environments. There's nothing good about being around harsh environments, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that's like the biggest influential thing, you know what I'm saying, is someone who can come from a harsh environment, and then you influence kids to, put themselves in harsh environments, because maybe, you know what I'm saying, it will, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I look at this and
I'm like, I don't even know what to think of this. I don't even know what to think of that, right? You know what I'm saying? Is putting kids in harsh, is the influence of men in harsh environments. You know what I'm saying? And it's like these men are the toughest of the tough. And that's another thing about the mind, right? Because the external appearance of the person is like, okay, this person is the toughest of the tough because they survived the most extreme and harsh experiences and they just look tough. You know what I'm saying? They just look like the toughest. You know what I'm saying? But really, inside their mind and internally, these motherfuckers are fucked, right? You know what I'm saying? Because they've been institutionalized and psychologically so programmed by the system. And it's like, when you put them in the limelight, it appears as if this is the characteristic or trait in which kids want to grow up to be, right? And what they're seeing is just the external appearance of the person. But at the same time, they're also seeing them in the harshest, government systemic experimented on environments that now they're being influenced to be governmentally experimented on, because now it's like, okay, let me put myself in harsh environments. Let me put myself in the same environments as these kings have been in, because I want to grow up and be like them. You know what I'm saying? But growing up and being like them is growing up and being institutionalized. You know what I'm saying? And it's just growing up to be institutionalized, right? And mentally and brain, you know what I'm saying? Brain corrupted in this, brain altered in this way. So, you know, I think that's the thing. And, in my opinion, and that's just a real thing. Even a lot of the guys, man, you see, like, I've been locked up myself, like, you know what I'm saying, tell you straight up, man, like, you know what I'm saying, this shit ain't it, man, like, you know what I'm saying, just go out and get you some money, go out and get, you know what I'm saying, do what you do, you know what I'm saying, and it's just like, if I still had the chance, if I still had a mind, I would go out and you know what I'm saying, I would go out and just reach for the stars, man. I wouldn't even be kind in the situation that all these other dudes be in, man. You know what I'm saying? I would just reach for the stars and just try to, like, really, really try to carve out my mind and really just express and articulate my mind. You know what I'm saying? And I would just live that way. You know what I'm saying? I would just live life upward. I wouldn't try to put myself in harsh environments. I would just live upward, right? I would never come down to, you know what I'm saying, a harsh situation, a harsh environment just off of an influence of somebody else. You know what I'm saying? I would just continue to scale myself upward. You know what I'm saying? I would just look upward. I would look at the opportunities that I have and the advantages I have and sort of the leverages that I have, right? You know what I'm saying? And shit that lines up. And I would use and I would sort of utilize and I would take advantage of the resources that I have, or, you know what I'm saying, I would just, take full what's it called? Take the full blessing of just like, or, just take full charge of what it is that's lined up, you know what I'm saying? In terms of like how it lines up with my mind and just how I can articulate that. So that's like the number one thing, right, that I would change, like, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, that's what you hear a lot from many of these, prison folks' testimonies, right? You see, like, the exterior appearance of just like a hard black man, you know what I'm saying, whom you can see through their spirit has overcome countless battles. And it's like, damn, I want to grow up to be like that. What has the person been through? They've been through the system. They've been through, the harshness of, you know what I'm saying, this experimental lab. And it's like, damn, maybe I should try to be what they be. And I go into those situations where I'm a lab dog in these fucking, experimented places, you know what I'm saying, that America done designed up, right? But then we miss the aspect of the mental, right? And the mental shit that the person could be going through. And we miss the mental aspect of, you know what I'm saying, of what's been psychologically done to their mind, right? And and it's like you have nothing to go off with but what their word and what their words say. And it's just like, hey, look, you know what I'm saying? This shit ain't it. You know what I'm saying? This shit over here, like, this shit ain't it. You know what I'm saying? It's better for you to just be yourself. You know, carve out your own authentic mind and scale yourself upward, right? That's what the people before you have been through, the shit that they've been through for. We've been through the shit we've been through for not for you to copy it. You know what I'm saying? But so that you can be in a better position, so you can utilize your mind to go ahead and create, you know what I'm saying, your authentic mind. We do this shit for you. We do this shit for your authentic mind so you can have the opportunity to be able to scale yourself up, man. We don't do this shit for you to be influenced by the shit that we've been through and want to put yourself in the harsh environments that we've been through. You know what I'm saying? Nah, we do this shit for the, you know, purpose of you, so you can scale yourself up. You know what I'm saying? And you can you know what I'm saying, utilize your authentic mind and create something new that we'd have never seen before. Or create something, you know what I'm saying, out of your authentic mind so you can be in a better position, right? You know what I'm saying? And so that you can, you know, express your mind and articulate your mind and the way that you want to, you know, build, you know what I'm saying, and you way you want to build, and you know what I'm saying? So that's just practically, you know, for the most part, that's it, right? You know what I'm saying? That's you know, you know, sort of, you know, pretty much the gist of it, and it's like, my thing is, you know, this whole influential thing is just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Folks is, you know, testimonies is like, okay, cool, your testimony was you was in the system, or you overcame this, that, and the third, but it's like, you know what I'm saying, your spirit is just very powerful. We can see that you overcome, like, and it's not we can see, but, you know what I'm saying, it's very visible for a black man, you know what I'm saying, to overcome, like, a bunch of shit and just have a presence of something that has overcome countless shit, you know what I'm saying, and it's just like, okay, cool. And it's just like, how can I be like that? I want to be like that, right? And then we start to look at what the person came from. And these motherfuckers then came through straight, you know, systemic oppression and straight governmental lab experiment. We don't want that type of mind. You don't want that type of mind leading the community. You don't want that type of mind. It doesn't make sense. Fuck. Doesn't make any sense. So it's like, you don't want that type of mind, you know what I'm saying? You want your own authentic mind, your own imagination, your own shit, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, these people came before you, just like I said, like, you know what I'm saying? These people, you know what I'm saying? They you can see and tell that they went through countless battles, right? But the influential part and the need or necessity or the idea or notion that I have to go through what they go through, you know what I'm saying, is the misconception that that blows up everything. You know what I'm saying? That's the misconception that blows up everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about on all levels. I'm talking about with all types of influence. I'm talking about with all types of influence. I don't care who it is, from all outlets, from all walks of life, from all different situations, scenarios, environments, outlets. It doesn't even matter. Worlds. That's my thing. It's literally, black man come from, you know what I'm saying, this. You can see the presence of them, and you see where he came from and what he's been through. And then all of a sudden you assume that you got to go through that just so you can, you know what I'm saying, because you see the presence of the person. You say, I want to be like that. I want to have that sort of presence. So let me go through what they've been through. No. You know what I'm saying? That's the misconception. It's like, you got to go through what they went through to get that, to be like that. No, you just gotta go through what you go through. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You just gotta go through what you go through and figure out, you know what I'm saying, the situation within your own environment. Shit. You know what I'm saying? You gotta figure out the shit within your own construct and environment. Right? And then figuring that shit out, boom, that's how, you know what I'm saying? That's you know what I'm saying? That's what's important, right? Even though that this person may have this sort of presence, it's like, I'm talking to kids, like kids look at other black men and their presence is like, I got to go through that. No, you don't have to go through that. And that's what's been keeping, I feel like it's been keeping the community down. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's such a instinctive thing to think that, like, you know, that you just gotta go through what they go through, you know, and it's like that's the you know you think you gotta go through what that person went through, and it's just you think, oh, all of a sudden, uh, hey, this person was a drug dealer, but his presence is like, you know what I'm saying, you could tell the dude has been through a lot, and as a kid, like, I want to be that. No, you don't want to be that. You want to be someone who has, you know what I'm saying, fully, you want to be someone strong. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be that because you can't see the mind. You can't see the psychology. You can't see what's behind this physical presence. It's two totally different worlds. You know what I'm saying? The amount of institutionalization and how institutionalized the person's mind has been done is what you can't see. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you don't go through the same shit that other folks go through. Like, nigga, no. You know what I'm saying? That's the misconception. You know what I'm saying? That's the misconception. And that's you know what I'm saying? That's my thing, right? But anyway, yeah, like, that's my thing. Like, the misconception is just crazy, you know, for kids nowadays, you know. Just thinking that, you know. And it's like, you know, nah, you don't gotta go through that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't gotta go through that. Like, nah, it doesn't make sense. We could have been by now, like, had a new world created. We could have been by now had a new conception of life and, like, period that's been created, you know. But it's just the fact, if it wasn't for the fact that primal secondary mind thing kicks in to where, oh, we got to go through what they go through. You know what I'm saying? We got to, you know, it's like, dang, this black man has a hard presence to him. I want to be like that. And then and we got to go through what they go through to do it. You know what I'm saying? And take all the traumas and the psychological detriments and all that shit attached to it. And it's like, that's the part that we're trying to, like, that's the part that certain niggas with that sort of presence is not trying to give off. That's the part that niggas is not trying to pass down. You know what I'm saying? That kids is just running to. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, that be the one thing that dudes is just not trying to influence or not trying to get kids into. You know what I'm saying? And say it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't be a drug dealer. Don't be like, nah, man. Shoot. Just, you know what I'm saying? Be you. Figure out the constructs of your environment. Imagine if all the kids, like, was influenced by the presence of, you know what I'm saying, of you know, who they influenced by, but they stuck the course of just their environment, you know, and just looked at the constructs of their own environment and sort of made changes and made decisions solely based off of their environment. You know what I'm saying? And the constructs and the logic and the common sense in terms of just like how, and the decision making of how they can progress within their own environment and just grow, you know, their environment and their situation. Like, imagine if that was the case. You'd have been and created a whole, you know what I'm saying, new world. It's just using influence as the foundational blueprint, or not even a blueprint, but just as the foundation of just the spark in order for you to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Instead of you being, you know, chasing them, but being able to, like, be yourself, but chase them through yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that sort of thing, like being able to chase influence through yourself and not through just you getting out of yourself and your situation and environment and running to whatever environment they was in. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the difference maker between really, you know, folks who's doing it, you know, the right way and those who's do it I think that's the difference maker, right? And nowadays, you know what I'm saying, let's be honest, most of these kids should be studying. You know what I'm saying? Most of the kids nowadays should be studying and being educated. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. So it's like you see folks with influence, and I love, man, everything is so contradictory, man. Because you see folks, man, who, like I said, like you see like gang, you know what I'm saying, gang members and all this other type of stuff. They pretend like, nah, this shit ain't it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how is a drug dealer supposed to influence a child? You know what I'm saying? They're not going to tell them to do what they did. Obviously, they're going to tell them not to do that. You know what I'm saying? What else is they going to say? You know what I'm saying? And it's like same thing with anybody who's, living a fucked up, you know what I'm saying, a bad predicament, a fucked up life. Of course, they're going to tell the next generation not to do what they did. You know what I'm saying? Of course, they're going to say that. They're not going to say do it. You know what I'm saying? That don't make what they saying invalid. Shit, they telling them right. Now, don't do what the fuck you did. You know what I'm saying? You telling them right. You know what I'm saying? Shit, that's what they need to hear. You know what I'm saying? Folks, that shit is so twisted, man. It's like, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? That don't make me invalid or false just because I tell someone not to do what I did. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. You know what I'm saying? I'll say, you know what I'm saying? Simply, you know what I'm saying? I'll say stay the course of what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? That don't make me invalid for telling somebody to stay the course from what they're doing, or somebody else invalid for telling somebody right. You know what I'm saying? Because I look at it and it's like, you look at it and it's like, man, I wish that I would have done that. You know what I'm saying? And that's coming from a real experience and a real testimony. Or whatever the fuck you want to tell it, or I don't even want to fucking call it. You know what I'm saying? It's coming from a real place. So I think that shit holds weight. You know what I'm saying? When you tell someone, like, based off your own experience, like, don't do this. Because you've seen the other end of it, and it's like, you'll be better, and you give somebody else a better suggestion. I mean, it doesn't make you an invalid person for suggesting something to somebody, like, or to a kid. You mean, if you make a suggestion to what a kid should do, that doesn't invalidate you. You know what I'm saying? You just making a suggestion. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't do this, but, you know what I'm saying, at the same time, don't do what I did, but at the same time, I suggest, you know what I'm saying, just stay the course. You know what I'm saying? I suggest you stay the course. That's just a suggestion, I think we get so mixed up, you know what I'm saying? Like, in terms of just like, oh, you can't say certain things because you're not this certain person. Okay, I may not be that certain person, but I've had certain experiences, you know what I'm saying, that gave me the knowledge and understanding of what certain things look like. I still have a valid opinion based off the experiences that I've been through. You know what I'm saying? Based off the experience. I may have not achieved or necessarily climbed to the very top and said that, you know what I'm saying, I was able to put my foot on the, in terms of like first place. But at the same time, I've been through the entire grind. I have experiences that has a valid opinion. You know what I'm saying? And I can tell you, just stay the course, right? Or, you know what I'm saying, this is the level of intensity that it takes. You know what I'm saying? Based off my experience, I know. So I can tell you, like, you might not be going hard enough, right? You know what I'm saying? Because I've been in the environments, so I have the experience in terms of my experience holds weight. So, that's that sort of thing too. So, but anyway, I think I'm gonna conclude this joint right here. I'm, going on for a minute, but yeah, man, like this is just a valid little, this is just a valid podcast I'm making. It's really not even like a jail incarceration podcast, but it's just like a serious topic that I've been wanting to discuss. Really talking about everything, man. Really talking about just like kids and just their influence, like, influence to go backwards. Like, kids be influenced to go backwards nowadays instead of forward. You know what I'm saying? Just because of the presence of just like, okay, Influence is taking a wrong. Influence is taking a right. It's a right. Right lineage, wrong decision making. Wrong interpretation. Right. It's the right receiving going on. Properly, like influence for the past. I don't know how many, because we've been stuck in the same position for so. Influence, because influence has been taking the right receiving mechanism and the right receiving process, but the wrong translation. You know what I'm saying? It's been taking the wrong interpretation. The right receiving process, right receiving, wrong interpretation. You know what I'm saying? If you took the influence that you got and interpreted it, or just like poured it into what you're doing and what you're conceptualizing in your life, and just, your environment and everything shit around you, you know what I'm saying? You be good, you be straight, you know what I'm saying? It's like straight up. Like if you just focused and just sit and just be and meditate, you know what I'm saying? And just be within your environment, and you just took all the external influence from all directions and just poured it straight into, to your environment, right? Everything you hear and see, like just hear it. But you know what I'm saying? Or not even everything, but if you take the influence of a black man, right, and the presence of a black man that you look up to, because you can tell from their spirit that they done been through a lot of shit and overcame a lot of shit. Okay, cool, right? You can look at them and and just pour that into your environment and what you're doing, and your circumstance. You know what I'm saying? It was like it would change the dynamic of a lot of these falls. A lot of these falls of black men, like, you know what I'm saying? Period. A lot of these falls, right? Point blank, period. You know what I'm saying? And it's just that right there, pouring into what you're doing, right? instead of trying to chase like someone else's, environment. Nah, from where you're at, literally just, your circumstance, what you're lined up with. You got school, you got, classes, you got, all this other shit lined up, and man, you gotta pour into that shit, man. You gotta fucking stay the course and like punish that shit. You gotta punch at that shit. You know what I'm saying? Punch at all these shots, that's lined up in front of you. You know what I'm saying? And hit all these shots and pour into all these, sort of points, all these targets in front of you. All these, all these points in front of you, man. Like hit at these, like hit these. You know what I'm saying? You gotta punch at all these. You know what I'm saying? With all that energy, right? You know what I'm saying? And then that's what's gonna make the difference, right? It's just punching at all these shots in front of you. And I think that's one thing that you learn, especially when you get deep into playing basketball. Like you play basketball long enough, you know what I'm saying? You learn to hit your shots. You know what I'm saying? That's what a professional do. You hit your shots. You don't go out looking for shots. You know what I'm saying? Really, on a professional levels, you just maneuver through the flows of the game, and you hit your shots in between opportunities, within the ripples. You know what I'm saying? Within the ripple effects. That's really it. You know what I'm saying? It's a rhythmic game. It's a rhythmic game. And then, you know what I'm saying? You hit your points within the ripple effects every time. That's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? You stay the course and you go that way, right? And I think that's one of the major things like the kid can learn. You know what I'm saying? Our kid needs to learn, period. It's just how to punch at the ripple effects, or punch in the ripple effects. You know what I'm saying? Of a rhythmic flow. And that's what a professional do. You know what I'm saying? A professional doesn't seek anything external, or like, you know what I'm saying, something external. Or like, in terms of like, okay, somebody does this, let me, stop everything I'm doing and go out of my way to just, do that. Like, nah, it's within your own construct. You know what I'm saying? What you got like put together in front of you. You know what I'm saying? And you just being able to build that and build there. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying, and build within that. But anyway, I think I'm done. I think I'm done for today in this podcast. But I think this is a pretty good video. Definitely. Hopefully this video was able to, like, you know, catch somebody and, you know, help somebody, you know what I'm saying, in whatever way they need. And yeah, I'm gonna conclude this journey right here. Peace, love. Hopefully this message gets into whomever it needs to get into. And you know, you can sort of receive and digest that mentally. Yeah, so peace, love, and right. Yeah. We out this joint.